the Crane Room for your lunch and dinner rendezvous. You'll enjoy their pleasant atmosphere. The Crane Room takes pride in their wide variety menu. Appetizers, sandwiches, soups, salads, entrees, pasta, and the best burgers in town. Newcastle's best selection of domestic, import, and craft beers from around the world, and the Crane Room features a 35-tap draft system. Ask about their daily specials that will please you every time. The Crane Room is located at 3009 Wilmington Road in Neshannock Township. Call 724-656-1553.
When I'm on the go, I take NCTV45 with me.
Give Mangina Outside Services a call when you want a yard project done and done right. Bud Mangina is the owner, and he and his staff will do just about any yard project, and he also does hauling of your trash and unwanted items. Mangina Outside Services covers the greater Newcastle area with very affordable prices. Tell Bud you heard this message on NCTV45, and you'll receive a 10% discount. 614-3658. That's 724-614-3658.
Quiet, relaxing tranquility. That's Bethy's Bakery and Eatery in Valant, Pennsylvania. But you may ask, is it a bakery or is it a restaurant? Bakery, restaurant. Well, they have cakes of every kind. And not only that, they have burgers also, and turnovers, and salads, and donuts, and nachos, and cupcakes, and cream puffs, and just goes on and on. But let's not forget, home of the plate-sized cinnamon roll. Is it a bakery? Is it a restaurant? You decide. Bethy's in Valant.
It's Bud's Flowers when you want a wide variety of flowers for any occasion. They also have a selection of fine gifts and more. Bud's Flowers is conveniently located in downtown Newcastle at 120 East Washington Street. Call Bud's Flowers at 724-652-7727 or toll free from anywhere, 1-800-443-7726. It's Bud's Flowers in downtown Newcastle.
Keep watching NCTV45 for Cookin' the Castle. You're going to love it. EAS, Emergency Answering Services, can get that call when you can't. We are a trusted answering service who operates 24/7. Locally owned and operated. When you need help answering your phones, call EAS. We'll get the message to you.
Hi, I'm Gary West for NCTV45, and this is another edition of FocusNC. This is segment 3 of a 3-parter. My guest is Ron Wisbith, and Ron is the founder and region director of SARR, U.S. SARR, and that stands for Search and Rescue and Recovery. And we want to make sure you go to segments 1 and 2 as well, because we talked about a lot in those segments, and now we want to move along to some other items. And shortly we're going to be talking about the Christopher Story missing person case. But before we do that, what type of equipment is involved in your line of work?
Well, there's a variety of things. Of course, we borrowed from a lot of other aspects, the technical rescue, the medical aspect of it. When we run into these situations, we want to have everything ready that we can perform the necessary task. Communications, a lot in the paperwork, in documenting of the cases, map work and that type of stuff, GPS. So there's a lot of stuff. And then vehicles. We have 2 groups of vehicles that we're working on developing. One for the immediate missing person and the other for the support for training and so forth. Vehicles. This is a lot of equipment involved.
and you need money for that equipment.
Like
Tell us about the fundraising and donation factor of SARR.
Well, generally speaking, most SARR teams have to do exactly what we're doing, and they're on their own. There are no grants specifically for search and rescue. There may be a few isolated ones around the country.
Are any of the politicians working on that? When they should be.
No, because again, we get bogged down in bureaucracy and the legislative things. Nobody's really paying attention to it, and that's the issue. And we'd like to change people's minds on that. But a couple of fundraisers I mentioned in the previous segment that we have. But we're also creating a foundation, Gary, that people can send donations in, contributions, they are tax write-off, any way that they'd like to handle it. We're preparing a list of things that they can be specific. It could be involved in helping develop research, training materials, equipment, and support. For example, all the fuel and expenses, the things that we produce, and a lot of literature that we produce on public safety on missing persons. We have pamphlets. We have our Buzzy Bee safety program for kids we just launched this year, and material that says what we're doing. All that has to be paid for from our fundraising, and it's very, very expensive. So if anybody has a real issue that they'd like to support what we do to help promote it, to make it more effective, and to get the message out, and to help keep people safe, and at least get somebody on the scene immediately, they can do so.
And we'll give you some contact information at the end of this segment. I want to move along to the Christopher Story missing person case here in Newcastle. Now, just to refresh your memory, Christopher Story is a missing man since August 11th of 2013. So we're talking about a year now. And cadaver dogs and a psychic were brought in this past January to search for Christopher. The 40-year-old was last seen, as I said, in August. That was at his home in the Mahoningtown section of Newcastle. Family members, of course, are hoping to find any clues that could lead them to Christopher. And U.S. SARR has been called in to investigate. So you tell us your involvement in the Christopher Story case.
Yes, when they had actually it was the second search that was done. The original was done in August from some other organizations, and in January they called for a second search, and they got hold of us and asked if we attend. Unfortunately, we were committed that day, so we couldn't do it. And I told them, well, if you don't come up with anything, give us a call, so I'll check back with you. And we did. So somewhere around about March, we made contact, and since then we've worked quite a bit already, as we're able to do, to gather up information. At this point in time, what we're doing is we're trying to find out any piece of information we can on direction of travel, and doing what we call a backward check. And we're using our cold case unit, which is relatively new. We've worked on a couple, kind of a jump start, a couple of them in the past, but this is an actual unit within the unit. And as a cold case unit, our job is to sit and pull all the information together, get the interviews, get the paperwork, look and see what caused this incident, and then hopefully we'll get a direction of travel, some reasons behind it, develop a profile on the missing person to give us a heads up of where we should be looking. So we're not actually out in the field searching because we could be out in the rest of the world, because nobody knows which direction he went. They've already checked the immediate area. So that cold case is in progress. At the festival for this year, the family is setting up a booth to get any more information.
And you're referring to community days in the Mahoningtown section of Newcastle. That's at Darlington Park.
That's correct. To see if anybody said, well, yeah, I saw him on that day going this way. And then we'll get with them and talk to them and gather information. So a lot of investigative work. We've got a staff of 6 that's been working on this. And we know we still got a lot of work yet ahead of us.
Christopher is described as 6'1", 160 pounds, thin build, blue eyes, fair skin. He has scars on his legs and neck. And by the way, Christopher Story is now 41. I guess he had a birthday in January of this year. So anyone with information is asked to call Newcastle Police. But can they call SARR?
Yes, they can. The 412-303-5650 number is one of the numbers, or the non-emergency number of 724-847-0900. That's a daytime number. And we'll get in touch with them, and we'll take the information and see what we can piece together. What we're looking for is, yes, I did see him on that day. This is what I saw him do. Not that you know where he's at now, but that information is more important at this part of this the operation.
Ron, briefly, can you tell us what had to happen before you and your team were called in?
Well, the thing is that this information we got in this cold case really should have been instigated right at the beginning, because now we're a year behind, so to speak, when it's fresh in people's minds. Because you can take three people and seeing the same thing, and you get three different stories out of it, of what they saw, whether it's clothing, direction, or what have you. So we need to gather as much information up right now when the event happens. And unfortunately, because it's not an automatic by legislation and volunteer teams become the fourth public safety, that's not happening very often.
We're going to give you those phone numbers here shortly, so get ready to write those down. You know, you have a very comprehensive website. I encourage everyone to go there and make sure you read the SARR white paper that was written by Ron. Also, the editorial page is very informative. Can you just tell us a little bit in the remaining minute we have about the website?
Well, actually, hopefully we're going to be upgrading that as well because of this cold case concept. We're concentrating very heavy on that. But the website itself is going to be redesigned as more of an informative thing so people begin to understand the real need. And that's what has been missing. It's been a passing thing, like I believe I mentioned in the first segment. It's irrelevant to most people until they need it, and then they'll accept anything and everything. Unfortunately, it's not always the right thing. So we're going into the educational format. How we have training kind of is taking a back seat. It's what we do to help people. Real quick, like, people do not understand the tragedy of a missing person as an unsolved case can actually last a lifetime. And we've seen it where a family has been devastated after 20-some years without having a resolution to it. And even if the subject comes up, it falls back into the seriousness of it. So we really don't need that. We need to get the resolution done up front. And I can't describe how it feels if somebody's missing after 41 years, because it's never happened to me. But I've seen people just get totally unglued, even at the mention of it, once they get to a point where they don't know where to go next.
So that emergency number again is 412-303-5650. The non-emergency number is 724-847-0900. And the website, Ron?
USSARR.org.
That's USSARR.org. Ron, thank you very much for being with us. It's been very enlightening, and hopefully we can get more exposure for you, let people get in contact with you. They want to know more about it. Maybe some people that are looking at these segments might be encouraged to want to join SARR.
Well, we hope we get people who can join, but people who can support it. There's several ways of doing it. The foundation, as I said, or I'm willing, we have people, myself and a couple others, that we will come and talk to any organization, and we'll spend some time explaining why people need to look at this totally different than they have in the past. It is a major issue. One last thing, the estimate, how many people are missing every year in this country, is close to 2 million.
Unbelievable. Thank you, Ron Wisbith, for being with us. Keep up the good work and success. Hope you have success in your cases. That's Ron Wisbith. He's the founder and region director of US SARR, Search and Rescue and Recovery. And that's segment 3 of a 3-parter. Make sure you tune into segment 1 and 2 as well. I'm Gary West for NCTV45, and this has been another edition of FocusNC. We have a great relationship with Main Street Clothiers and Custom Tailors in downtown Newcastle at 210 East Washington Street. And whenever you watch FocusNC, my wardrobe is furnished by Main Street Clothiers and Custom Tailors. Bill's Bake Shop will make you happy. Bill Cast is the owner, and he and his staff keep the tradition going with all those bakery items that you remember as a kid. Just to name a few items, Bill makes cream sticks, cinnamon rolls, bear claws, cream horns, cannoli, cakes, pies, cookies, bread, pizza, and so much more. Bill's Bake Shop, located at 228 North Liberty Street in the Mahoningtown section of Newcastle, is open Tuesday through Saturday 7 to 5 and Sunday 7 to 2, closed on Monday. Bill's, where smiles are everywhere. Call 724-654-4223. Make it Lanigan's Irish Pub, where you'll be amazed with the weekly specials. Pub grub, salads, burgers, sandwiches, Irish specialties, and desserts. Lanigan's has a full bar featuring domestic, craft, and Irish draft beer. You can also book a party at Lanigan's at 126 East Washington Street in downtown Newcastle. As they say at Lanigan's Irish Pub, the best Irish food since Ireland. Call 724-657-3444.
This is NCTV45. You can watch us anytime on your time.
Pizza 2 in downtown Newcastle with a great variety menu that you will tell everybody about. Chris Quiera, the owner, is here with more information.
Stop down and see us at Little Johnny's 2. We're located at 130 East Washington Street, or give us a call at 724-657-2210.
We're with Sammer from Mary's Restaurant in Newcastle, Pennsylvania. Sammer, how are you today?
Very good, thank you.
That's great. Can you tell us what kind of food you have at your restaurant?
I have lots of good food, and I have chicken over rice, kippy, gravy, lemon raw, chicken raw, all healthy food, no worry about that.
Sounds great. Middle Eastern food. And you're on Long Avenue in Newcastle.
Thank you, yeah.
Open from
6 day a week.
6 day a week.
From 10 o'clock to 11 o'clock to 10 o'clock night.
11 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Okay. We'll see everybody at Mary's Restaurant in downtown Newcastle.